One of the things that both economists and the general public are very concerned in knowing is whether a country's real GDP is growing or declining. The formula for calculating the percent change in real GDP is the change in the procedure for calculating the percent change in real GDP is first to write down the formula, ending real GDP minus starting real GDP divided by starting real GDP times 100%. Second, substitute in the most recent time period for the ending real GDP, substitute in the oldest time period for the starting GDP, subtract the oldest time period from the most recent, divide the subtraction by the oldest time period, and multiply the result by 100%. Let's look at an example. Here's an example of a typical problem faced by economists. At the beginning of 2008, the real GDP was $16,350, and at the beginning of 2009, the real GDP was $16,828. How much did the real GDP increase between 2008 and 2009? The first step is to write down the formula. Ending real GDP minus starting real GDP divided by the real starting GDP times 100%. First, we need to decide what the ending real GDP is in the problem. Since the most recent year mentioned in the problem is 2009, it will be substituted into the problem for the ending real GDP. Next, we need to find out what will be substituted in for the real starting GDP. Next, we need to find the older date to substitute into the formula. Since 2008 becomes before 2009, it will be substituted in for the real starting GDP. Let's substitute in the values into the formula. The next step is to substitute the real GDP for 2009 into the formula. Since the value of the real GDP at the beginning of 2009 was 16,828, 16,828 will be substituted into the formula for real GDP in 2009. Next, we will need to substitute in the value for the real GDP in 2008. Since the real value of GDP in 2008 was 16,350, it will be substituted into the formula for the real GDP in 2008. Now all the numbers that are in the formula, the next step is to subtract 16,350 from 16,828. The difference between 16,828 and 16,350 is $478. Next, divide 478 by 16,350, which gives 0.029, and our final step is to multiply 0.029 by 100%. Multiplying 0.029 by 100% gives 2.9%. So the economy grew at 2.9% between the beginning of 2008 and 2009.